Joining us right now is author of Unprecedented and white-collar criminal defense attorney Sara Azari. Sara, good morning to you. McConney was reportedly granted immunity. What's the significance of his testimony, and would prosecutors try to use this to sway Weisselberg into cooperating?
Right, Lindsay. So McConney is the first but not the last employee that we're going to hear from before this grand jury testifying. And the idea of immunity means a promise of non-prosecution so that he can freely testify and spill the beans. And remember that Weisselberg has the key to the castle in terms of potentially what Donald Trump knew, in terms of the deflate and inflate of Trump Organization assets. So this is a very key witness, even though we are going to hear from additional employees. He's, like you said, very high ranking, 35 years with the Trump Organization, almost as long as Weisselberg has worked for the Trump Organization, which I think is around 40 years. So again, this idea of this investigation, this grand jury that's meeting for 6 months, we're inching our way closer and closer to getting the keys to the castle, because the idea is to flip Weisselberg. He knows everything.
Let's talk about the investigation now into Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. That's heating up. And NBC News confirmed that federal prosecutors are investigating whether he obstructed justice during a phone call with one of the witnesses in the sex trafficking investigation. And we do need to mention that Gaetz hasn't been charged with a crime. He's consistently denied any wrongdoing, and he defended himself again last night. Let's listen.
Have you or your lawyers heard from investigators in Florida?
Well, I think that there's a lot going on in Florida. My focus is on what's going on here in Washington.
Are you concerned you'll be indicted?
No.
There you go.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
All right. So the reporter there said, are you concerned about being indicted? And Gaetz emphatically said no. Can you walk us through this phone call and also the timing in regards to the investigation into Gaetz's colleague, Joel Greenberg, what this development could mean for Gaetz?
Right. I find it so interesting that he's, he claims to not be concerned. He should absolutely be concerned. So, Lindsay, this phone call took place in October of 2020 at a time where this investigation was not public. But certainly Matt Gaetz knew about it. This is his buddy. They have friends in common. He knew that Greenberg was, cooperating potentially, but at least that he was on the hook for the sex trafficking case. So this phone call takes place between the ex-girlfriend of Matt Gaetz and the minor witness. She's no longer a minor, but she was at the time of the allegations. And a couple of things about this. We don't know what the substance of this phone call was. We don't know who said what to this minor. But to the extent that this may have been witness tampering, meaning that either Gaetz's ex-girlfriend or he himself directly tried to influence, prevent, or delay the cooperation or testimony of this witness in any way, that is witness tampering, which is a form of obstruction of justice. There are three critical things that we do know at this time. Number one, there are two witnesses to this call, Matt Gaetz's ex-girlfriend and the minor witness herself.
Okay.
Number two, the ex-girlfriend is asking for immunity and non-prosecution, so at least she thinks that there's exposure involved. And lastly, the minor immediately hangs up the phone and calls the prosecutors. So they couldn't have been talking about the weather, right? There must have been something substantive said on that phone call. So again, he has something to worry about, and something's very fishy about this phone call.
Wow, fascinating. Sara Azari, thank you for breaking all of that down for us. Good to see you.